A.C.E. A.C.E. Alex Cardinale. Entertainment all day. Click, dive deep. Color on the screen runs free. Tropical fins, bright reef. Whole ocean.
I'm Alex Cardinale, and I personally would like to welcome you to this presentation of the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy this special live stream right here on A.C.E.
Every Saturday we do our thing. Alex Cardinale Entertainment. Hit subscribe and stay a minute. If you're laughing or you're on the edge, we got it all. You're watching A.C.E.
Several murder cases often occur in several parts of the world. It is very difficult to reveal this case. An investigation needs to be carried out by the police. The investigation will be carried out by police officers. The evidence will be analyzed by a team from the forensic laboratory. And the results of the examination from the forensic laboratory will be given to detectives to be developed into information. The results of the analysis will be used to create an investigation report anatomic of crime. The report will be adjusted according to witness statements and indicative evidence.
Unlock the mysteries with Detective Alex Cardinale. Hey fellow detectives and crime junkies, welcome to On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. Get ready to dive into a world of crime and mystery. Join Detective Cardinale as he explores crimes of all kinds, from rapes and murders to robberies and more. Ever wonder what crimes took place 10 to 20 years ago? What can we learn from these past enigmas? Tune in right now to find out. Why watch? Engaging analysis. Detective Cardinale brings his expert insights and captivating storytelling to unravel some of the most perplexing cases. Educational insights. Learn about investigative techniques and the intricacies of solving crimes. Historical perspective. Discover how past crimes have shaped current law enforcement practices. Remember, keeping our communities safe starts with you. If you see something suspicious, don't hesitate to report it by calling 911. Remember, if you see something, say something. Let's welcome our host from Port St. Lucie, Florida, Detective Alex Cardinale, as he takes you on a thrilling journey into the heart of the criminal world. Don't miss out on this captivating experience. Tune in now and be part of the adventure.
Hello, crime junkies! Welcome to an all-new episode of On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale. Tonight on The Case, we are starting something new. We are going to take a look at the deadliest crimes in some of America's biggest cities. We're going to take a look at some of the deadliest crimes that occurred in America's largest cities, and what better city to kick us off than New York City. Tonight we're going to take a look at some of the deadliest crimes in New York City. We're also going to learn about the crime rates in New York City. We'll learn about what crimes take place in New York City, and we'll talk about some of the most infamous New York crimes. Plus, we'll learn about some infamous New York crimes such as the Mafia Cops, cops who work for the Mafia. We'll learn about a Wendy's massacre. We'll learn about the murder of John Lennon. And in our main event tonight, we'll learn about a cop who killed his young age lover. A police officer in New York who killed the underage girl he was dating. All that and more right here on the Case. As always, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start by talking about the crime rates in New York City. New York City's crime history is defined by a massive surge that began in the 1960s. peaked during the crime epidemic of the late 1980s and early 1990s and was followed by a decades-long decline that eventually made it the safest large city in the United States. The Great Peak, 1960s to 1990. Following a relatively stable post-war period, crime rates began to rise sharply in the 1960s. Peak murder year. Homicides reached an all-time record high in 1990 with 2,262 murders. That is roughly 30.7 per 100,000 residents. Epidemic proportions. At this peak, there were approximately 10,000 index crimes per 100,000 residents, meaning about 1 out of every 10 people was a victim of a major crime annually. Violent crime. In 1990, violent incidents, murder, rape, robbery, and felony assault totaled nearly 150,000. The decades of decline, 1990s to 2019. Starting in the early 1990s, the city experienced a crime collapse that lasted nearly 30 years. 1990 shift. Between 1990 and 2000, violent crime in New York City fell by 57%, significantly outpacing the national decline. 2000 stability. Murders dropped below 600 annually for the first time in decades. Historical lows. By 2017 to 2019, index crime reached levels not seen since the 1950s. In 2017, the city recorded fewer than 300 murders, the lowest since 1951. The pandemic spike in recent trends, 2020 to 2026. Like most U.S. cities, New York City saw a sharp reversal in trends during the COVID-19 pandemic. 2020 surge. Murders jumped 47% in a single year to 468. Shootings nearly doubled from 2019 levels. Post-pandemic recovery. Crime began stabilizing in 2022. By 2024, murders were 30% lower than the 2021 pandemic peak. Record start to 2026. According to recent New York Police Department reports, the first quarter of 2026 saw the fewest murders and shootings for that period in the city's recorded history. And that is the crime rates in New York City. And now let's talk about some of the crimes that are committed in New York City. What type of crimes are committed in New York City? Let's find out right now. In New York, offenses are classified into 3 main categories based on the potential punishment: felonies, misdemeanors, and violation. The city specifically tracks 7 major index crimes to monitor overall safety trends. Major index crimes. These 7 categories are used by the New York Police Department and FBI as the primary indicators of criminality. Violent crimes includes murder and non-negligent murder and non-negligent manslaughter, rape, robbery, which is forcibly stealing, and felonious assault. So, violent crimes is murder, manslaughter, rape, robbery, and felony assault. Property crimes includes burglary, unlawful entry to commit a crime, grand larceny, theft of high-value property, and grand larceny auto, motor vehicle theft. Recent crime trends, early 2026. As of April 2026, most major categories are trending downwards, according to New York Police Department records. Murders declined by 28% in the first quarter of 2026 compared to 2025. Burglaries dropped significantly by 20.6%. Larceny, petty larceny, low value theft remains the most frequently reported crime in the city. Rape, reported cases rose by approximately 10%. Officials attribute this increase to a 2024 law that expanded the legal definition of the offense. And those are the crimes that happen in New York City. Much like any city, New York City is always going to have murders, rapes, robberies, etc. Fish Fam is in the house. Hey, Fish Fam, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. I hope you're having a great day. All right, right now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the most infamous New York City crimes. These are the historical crimes that have happened in New York City. New York has a long history of high-profile criminal cases, ranging from notorious serial killers to high-stakes organized crime hits. While overall crime rates are currently lower than the historic peaks of the 1970s and 80s, the city continues to see significant cases that capture national attention. Notorious serial killers in New York. Son of Sam, David Berkowitz. Between 1976 and 1977, David Berkowitz terrorized the city with a series of random shootings in the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. He killed 6 people and wounded 7 before being captured in Yonkers. Joel Rifkin, considered New York's most prolific serial killer, Rifkin confessed to killing 17 women between 1989 and 1993, often stashing their remains in his Poughkeepsie home. Gilligo Beach killings, a decade-long investigation into the remains of at least 10 victims found along a Long Island highway. A major suspect, Rex Humerman, was arrested in 2023 and is currently heading to trial. Now, here is a serial killer we talked about a number of weeks ago here on the case. That is the torso killer, Richard Cottingham. He was known for his brutal dismemberment of victims in New York and New Jersey between the 1960s and 1980s. As recently as 2024, he has continued to confess to decades-old cold cases. Infamous mob hits and organized crime. Paul Castellano, 1985. The Gambino crime family boss was gunned down in a brazen assassination outside Sparks Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan, an event that marked the rise of John Gotti. Albert Anastasia, 1957. A founder of Murder Inc., Anastasia was shot dead while sitting in a barber's chair at the Park Central Hotel. Crazy Joe Gallo, 1972. Shot 5 times while celebrating his 43rd birthday at Umberto's Clam House in Little Italy, an event immortalized in pop culture and song. Sensational and historical impactful crimes that happened in New York City. The assassination of Malcolm X, 1965. The civil rights leader was shot and killed at the Underbahn Ballroom in Harlem. In 2021, 2 men were exonerated for the crime after decades in prison. The murder of John Lennon, 1980. The former Beatle was gunned down by Mark David Chapman outside his home at the Dakota on the Upper West Side. Kitty Genovese, 1964. Her murder in Queens became a legendary case study for the bystander effect, based on earlier reports that numerous neighbors heard her screams but did not intervene. Bernhard Goetz, 1984, known as the subway vigilante, goat shot 4 men on a number 2 train who he claimed were trying to rob him, sparking a national debate on crime and vigilantism. Significant recent and cold cases. Jam Master Jay, 2002. The Run DMC founder was shot in his Queens recording studio. After over 20 years as a cold case, suspects Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr. were convicted in 2024, and a third suspect, Jay Bryant, recently pleaded guilty in April of 2026. Ethan Patz, 1979. One of the first missing children to be featured on milk cartons, he vanished while walking to his bus in Soho and was not declared legally dead until 2001. Recent high-profile incidents. In April 2026, a man was convicted and sentenced to 90 years to life for the 2024 killing of New York Police Department Detective Jonathan Diller. And those are some of the infamous New York crimes that happened in the city of New York City. Well, coming up next here on The Case, we're going to start breaking down some of the most infamous New York City crimes. Learn about 2 New York Police Department detectives that turned into Mafia Cops and committed murders. Learn about a Wendy's massacre. Learn about a police officer dating an underage girl in a murder-suicide. All that and more next here on The Case. But first, I want to invite all my amazing viewers to the inaugural Amazonian Week, which is taking place late June this year. And there's even going to be a crime show from the Amazon. Here is more information on Amazonian Week. Alex Cardinale here, and it's no secret, I love the Amazon rainforest and the animals that live there. As a matter of fact, 90% of the fish that I keep come from the Amazon River and South America. So, I hereby announce the Alex Cardinale Entertainment is thrilled to announce the inaugural Amazonian Week, a captivating series of live streams and videos dedicated to celebrating and raising awareness about the Amazon rainforest. From Monday, June 22nd to Sunday, June 28th, 2026, join me for an immersive journey into the heart of the world's largest rainforest. I am proud to announce that in June, I will be hosting an entire week of live streams and videos dedicated to the Amazon River in South America. This will be a yearly event to raise awareness for the largest rainforest in the world, the people that live there, and of course, educate about the different animal species that call the Amazon home. Event highlights: Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. On Saturday, June 27th, 2026, enjoy Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This special day will feature interactive content such as 3 rounds of 2 Truths and a Lie centered around the Amazon rainforest and South America. The day's segments will delve into the fascinating world of Amazonian animals, Amazonian fish, and more. Here is the weekly schedule for the very first Amazonian week. Monday, June 22nd, aquatic wetline with Aqua Alex, Amazonian fish. Tuesday, June 23rd, jaguars with me, Alex Cardinale. Wednesday, June 24th, we'll learn about anacondas. Thursday, June 25th, Detective Alex Cardinale will talk about crimes that took place in the Amazon rainforest and South America. Friday, June 26th, it'll be an episode of Turning Point, and we'll talk about some tragedies that took place in the Amazon. And Saturday, June 27th, will be Amazonian Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And it all concludes on Sunday, June 28th, with Dolphins with Alex Cardinale. Don't miss Amazonian Week taking place Monday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 28th, right here on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel, ACE. Welcome back to On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale, and tonight we are talking about the deadliest New York City crimes. And let's get right to it. Now we're going to talk about the Mafia Cops, two detectives that were working for the Mafia that ended up committing murders and other crimes. So let's talk about the Mafia Cops. The Mafia Cops were two highly decorated New York Police Department detectives, Stephen Caracappa and Louis Ippolito, who spent years moonlighting as hitmen and informants for the Lucchesi and Gambino crime families. Their betrayal is often described as the most egregious case of police corruption in New York City history. The detectives, Louis Ippolito, a flashy detective who grew up in a mafia family. His father was a Gambino soldier known as Fat the Gangster. He later wrote an autobiography titled Mafia Cop and had small roles in mob films like Goodfellas. Stephen the Stick Caracappa, a quieter, more low-profile detective who helped establish the New York Police Department's organized crime homicide unit, which ironically investigated the very type of crimes he was committing. Crimes committed, operating primarily under the direction of Lucchesi underboss Anthony Gaspipe Cassio. The duo was convicted in 2006 for a wide array of felonies spanning from the mid-1980s to the mid-2000s. 8 contract murders. They personally carried out or aided in at least 8 slayings. Edward Leno, 1992. The detectives pulled over this Gambino captain in a fake traffic stop and shot him dead, for which they were reportedly paid $65,000. Israel Greenwald, 1986. They used a fake traffic stop to kidnap and murder Greenwald, burying him under a garage floor. Kidnappings. In 1986, they kidnapped James Jimmy Heidel and delivered him in the trunk of their car to Cassio, who tortured and murdered him. Passing confidential intel. They received a $4,000 monthly retainer to act as Cassio's crystal ball, providing internal police records and identifying informants. Mistaken identity murder. Based on an inaccurate tip from the detectives, an innocent man named Nicholas Gudo was murdered on Christmas Day 1986 because he shared the same name as an intended mob target. Other felonies. Their convictions also included racketeering conspiracy, money laundering, drug distribution, including methamphetamines, and witness tampering. Fate and sentencing. The pair were arrested in Las Vegas in 2005. In 2009, they were sentenced to life in prison. Ippolito received life plus 100 years, and Carcappa received life plus 80 years. Both men died in federal custody, Caracappa in 2017 and Ippolito in 2019. It is hard to imagine that two New York City detectives turned into mafia criminals, doing murders, selling drugs, all that nasty stuff. That is the Mafia Cops. Now let's talk about the Wendy's Massacre from New York City in the year 2000. The Wendy's Massacre was a horrific robbery and mass shooting that occurred on May 24th, 2000, in the Flushing neighborhood of Queens, New York. 5 employees were killed and 2 were seriously wounded in what remains one of the deadliest mass shootings in New York City history. The massacre was masterminded by John Taylor, a former assistant manager at the restaurant who had been fired previously. Taylor and his accomplice, Craig Gudinex, entered the Wendy's at 4012 Main Street around closing time. Execution-style slayings. Taylor forced the manager to summon the employees to a basement office for a fake meeting. The 7 workers were then herded into a walk-in freezer, bound and gagged with duct tape, and had plastic bags placed over their heads. Each victim was shot once in the head. Motive. The pair stole approximately $2,400 from the restaurant's safe. Survivors. Despite the brutality, 2 employees, Jaquan Johnson and Patricio Castro, survived gunshot wounds to the head. Castro was able to call 911 after the killers fled. The victims. The 5 employees killed in the attack were Jean Dumel Augusta, 27, the restaurant manager; Anita Smith, 23, a cashier; Jeremy Melly, 18; Roman Nazario, 44; Ali Abadat, 40. Rest in peace to the 5 employees that were killed in the Wendy's massacre of May 2000. Police arrested Taylor and Goodinex less than 48 hours after the killings, aided by a palm print found at the scene and statements from the survivors. John Taylor, initially sentenced to death in 2002. However, after the New York Court of Appeals declared the state's death penalty statute unconstitutional in 2004, his sentence was vacated. In 2007, he was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Craig Gudinex pleaded guilty in 2001. He was ineligible for the death penalty due to a diagnosed mental disability and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The Wendy's location was closed and boarded up for years after the crime before eventually being converted into a shopping center in 2011. And that is the Wendy's Massacre. All right, are you ready for our next Italian mob case? We're going to talk about Big Paul, aka Paul Castanello. Paul Castanello, known as Big Paul, was the boss of the Gambino crime family from 1976 until his brazen assassination in 1985. Unlike street-level mobsters, Castanello preferred to operate as a white-collar boss, focusing on legitimate-appearing business fronts and high-level racketeering, criminal records, and activities. While he presented himself as a businessman, Castanello oversaw extensive illegal operations and was implicated in numerous violent crimes, labor and construction racketeering. He exerted control over the Teamsters Union Local 282, which allowed him to dominate the supply of concrete for major construction projects in New York and Long Island. His family-controlled Scara Mixed Concrete Corporation held a near monopoly on Staten Island. Business monopolies. Through his company, Dial Poultry, he used intimidation to force supermarket chains like Key Food and Wall Bombs to buy his products exclusively, effectively controlling the city's chicken distribution. Murder orders. Castanello is believed to have ordered at least 25 murders during his tenure. Notable examples include Vito Borelli, 1975, his daughter's boyfriend, reportedly killed for comparing Castanello to Frank Perdue, Perdue the chicken guy, Well, Vito Borelli, his daughter's boyfriend, compared him to Frank Perdue, and he was killed, unfortunately. Rob Demio, 1983, a prolific Gambino hitman who Castanello ordered killed to prevent him from cooperating with the FBI. Frank Amato, 1980, his former son-in-law, murdered for allegedly abusing Castanello's daughter. The Concrete Club. He managed Gambino interest in a cartel of contractors that fixed bids on major construction contracts, requiring a 2% kickback on projects worth millions. Stolen car ring. At the time of his death, he was on trial for overseeing a massive car theft operation that the FBI compared to a division of General Motors. So basically, he was like a real life Sopranos character, Big Paul Castanello. Let's talk about Paul Castanello's assassination in 1985. On December 16th, 1985, Castanello and his underboss, Thomas Biletti, were gunned down outside Sparks Steakhouse in Midtown Manhattan. The hit was orchestrated by John Gotti, who was frustrated by Castellano's ban on drug dealing and his perceived isolation from the street. The brazen public nature of the murder marked the end of the old guard and the rise of Gotti as the Dapper Den. And that is the story of Paul Castanello, one of the deadliest New York crime sprees in New York City history. This is an amazing show. This is the most viewed live stream for On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. These are the most live views I've had for this show. Isn't that amazing? I am so proud. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you're having a great time and enjoying the show. Well, coming up next here on The Case with Detective Alex Cardinale, we've got more deadly New York crimes we are going to talk about. Coming up next, learn about Joel Rifkin, who is a New York City serial killer. We'll also talk about um, we will also talk about the murder of John Lennon. We'll also talk about the cop who fell in love with the underage girl and committed murder-suicide. That is the Fred Maselli and Shirley Fontanez case. All that and more coming up next here on The Case. But right now we're going to take a quick programming note so I can go over some important shows coming up here on my YouTube channel. Tomorrow night, it's our next episode of Turning Point with Alex Cardinale. And Turning Point with Alex Cardinale is very similar to my crime show, except we talk about deadly tragedies. And tomorrow, we're going to talk about the deadliest hurricanes. So get ready to learn about things like Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Katrina, and some other hurricanes. So tomorrow, get ready to learn about the deadliest hurricanes. Don't forget, this Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, it's our next episode of Saturday with Alex Cardinale, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, 3 weeks from this Saturday, we're going to celebrate 4 years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. That will be on May 23rd, 2026, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. We celebrate 4 years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Then we're back with more deadly New York crimes right after this. On the next Saturday with Alex Cardinale, we kick off May. And we kick off May with an incredible episode of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Live Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. It's an all-new episode of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. The animal of the world will be the nutria, which is an incredible rodent. Aqua Alex's featured fish will be the St. John's River Stingray and the Salvini Cichlid. There will be 3 more rounds of Two Truths and a Lie on my favorite candy, Twix, Reese's, and Snickers, so test your knowledge on some amazing candy brands. There will be the return of the Weekend Update, WTF moments, LMAO moments, Yankee Spotlight, and so much more. Plus, see highlights from the incredible 200th Saturday with Alex Cardinale. It's all going down live Saturday, May 2nd, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on youtube.com/@Alex Cardinale 2026 on ACE.
Celebrate Mother's Weekend with Alex Cardinale. Join us for a special Mother's Saturday with your mom's favorite YouTuber, Alex Cardinale. Event details: date, Saturday, May 10th, 2026, time 10 p.m. Eastern Time/7 p.m. Pacific Time. Where YouTube channel Alex Cardinale Entertainment, What to Expect Mother's Day. Recipes: delight in delicious recipes crafted by Chef Alex himself. Mother's Day weekend activities. Discover fun and exciting activities to enjoy with your mom. Dining out tips. Learn the best tips for a memorable dining experience. Reasons to love your mom. Celebrate the special bond with heartwarming reasons to appreciate your mom. Don't miss out on this heartwarming celebration. Mark your calendars and join us on Saturday, May 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time/7 p.m. Pacific Time. Let's make it a Mother's Day weekend to remember. Get ready for the biggest Saturday with Alex Cardinale of 2026. Join us in celebrating 4 incredible years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. This special anniversary show is airing live on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time/6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You won't want to miss this spectacular event. What's happening? Karen's return. Relive Saturday with Alex's greatest moments. Aqua Alex gets new fish, Aqua Alex Pond update, surprise cameo appearances, and more exciting surprises. Tune in on Saturday, May 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern/6 p.m. Pacific on the YouTube channel Alex Cardinale Entertainment. Mark your calendars and get ready for an unforgettable night. See you there.
I'm Alex Cardinale. I'm the host and founder of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And I'm proud to tell you, Saturday with Alex Cardinale is now 4 years old. I started Saturday with Alex Cardinale in 2022. And now, in 2026, we celebrate 4 years of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. And we're going to celebrate 4 years with a very big 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, which airs live Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And on the 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, you can expect plenty of surprises. Will there be surprise cameo appearances? Will there be surprise guests? Tune in to find out. Aqua Alex will get new fish. Aqua Alex will have a pond demonstration. Chef Alex will have some recipe demos. See Chef Alex, Phil Cannolis, and other great recipes. Karen's are back for the 4th anniversary of Saturday with Alex Cardinale. It's the final Seagrass Farms featured fish and a whole lot more. Don't miss 4th Saturday with Alex Cardinale, Saturday, May 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, A.C.E. Alright, welcome back to On the Case. Tonight it's part 1 of Deadliest New York Crimes. And now we're going to talk about someone who is considered to be the worst serial killer in New York City history. His name is Joel Rifkin. Joel Rifkin is widely considered New York's most prolific serial killer, having confessed to the murders of 17 women between 1989 and 1993. He targeted vulnerable women, primarily sex workers, in the New York tri-state area, believing they were less visible to society and their disappearances would trigger less investigation. Crimes and modus operandi. Rifkin's 4-year killing spree was marked by brutal violence and calculated disposal methods designed to evade detection. Targeting victims. He frequented areas like Manhattan's Allen Street to pick up sex workers, who he viewed as things and not as people. The slayings. His victims were typically strangled or bludgeoned to death, often at his mother's house in East Meadow while she was away. Dismemberment and disposal. To confuse authorities, he disposed of bodies across multiple jurisdictions. He dumped remains in waterways, woods, and parks, sometimes using oil drums, concrete blocks, or paint cans to hide them. First known victims. His first murder in 1989 was Heidi Balch, who he bludgeoned and strangled before dismembering her. Her severed head was found in a paint can on a New Jersey golf course, but remained unidentified until 2013. Despite his long spree, Rifkin was only caught by chance on June 28, 1993. The traffic stop. State troopers noticed his Mazda pickup truck lacked a rare license plate on the Southern State Parkway. The chase. When signaled to pull over, Rifkin led police on a 20-minute chase that ended when he crashed into a utility pole. The discovery. Officers noticed a foul odor and found the decomposing body of his final victim, Tiffany Brashini, wrapped in a tarp in a truck bed. Confession. Following his arrest, Rifkin confessed to 16 additional murders, providing investigators with detailed maps to his dumping sites. As of April 2026, Joel Rifkin remains incarcerated at the Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York. He was convicted of 9 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to a total of 203 years to life in prison. His first potential parole date is not until the year 2197, making it a de facto life sentence. 2 of his 17 victims remain unidentified. In recent years, Rifkin has participated in interviews from prison to provide clues that might help investigators finally name these nameless victims. And that is the deadliest New York serial killer, Joel Rifkin. And now we're going to talk about a murder of a very famous person in New York City. Let's talk about the murder of John Lennon. The murder of John Lennon on December 8, 1980, remains one of the most shocking crimes in New York City history, not only because of Lennon's global fame, but because of the chillingly premeditated nature of the act. The events of December 8, 1980. Lennon was shot outside his residence, the Dakota, an apartment building on the corner of 72nd Street and Central Park West. The afternoon interaction. Earlier that day, around 5 p.m., Lennon and Yoko Ono were leaving for a recording session at record plant studio. The killer, Mark David Chapman, was among a small crowd of fans. He handed Lennon a copy of the album Double Fantasy, which Lennon signed. A photographer captured a famous photo of the two together during this interaction. The shooting. Lennon and Ono returned home at approximately 10:50 p.m. As they walked toward the entrance of the Dakota, Chapman emerged from the shadows. He fired 5 hollow-point bullets from a .38 caliber revolver. 4 struck Lennon in the back and shoulder. The aftermath. Lennon was rushed to Roosevelt Hospital in a police car, but was pronounced dead on arrival at 11:15 p.m. due to massive blood loss. The killer, Mark David Chapman. Chapman was a 25-year-old former security guard from Hawaii who had become obsessed with the novel The Catcher in the Rye and grew to resent Lennon's wealth and lifestyle. The motive. Chapman claimed he killed Lennon for self-glory and because he believed Lennon was a phony. He remained at the scene after the shooting, calmly reading a copy of The Catcher in the Rye until police arrived. Well, this man is really sick. Legal outcome. Against his lawyer's advice, Chapman pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. In 1981, he was sentenced to 20 years to life. Latest updates as of April 2026. Mark David Chapman remains incarcerated at the Green Haven Correctional Facility in New York. Since becoming eligible for parole in 2000, he has been denied 12 consecutive times. His most recent denial occurred in late 2022, with the board citing that his release would depreciate the serious nature of the crime. His next hearing was currently scheduled for February 2024, but it never happened. And as of early 2026, he remains behind bars. And that is the murder of John Lennon. And now we are going to talk about the subway vigilante, Bernhard Goetz. Bernhard Goetz, often referred to as the subway vigilante, gained notoriety for shooting 4 young men on a Manhattan subway train on December 22nd, 1984. The incident occurred on a southbound 2 train near the 14th Street station and became a focal point for national debates on self-defense, urban crime, and racial tensions. The incident, December 22nd, 1984. At a time of high crime rates in New York, Gutierrez, who had been a victim of a previous mugging, was carrying an unlicensed .38 caliber revolver. The confrontation. 4 teenagers, Barry Allen, Troy Canty, Daryl Cabby, and James Rumasser, approached Cortez and asked for $5. The shooting. Believing he was being mugged, Gutierrez stood up and fired 5 shots. All 4 men were wounded. The most controversial detail. According to Gotez's later confession, after the initial shots, he approached a cowering Daryl Cabby and reportedly said, "You don't look so bad, here's another," before firing a shot that severed Cabby's spinal cord, leaving him permanently paralyzed and brain damaged. Flight and surrender. Gotez fled the scene and traveled through New England for 9 days before turning himself in at the police station in Concord, New Hampshire. The case sparked intense division. While many New Yorkers initially hailed Gotez as a hero for standing up to crimes, others condemned his actions as racially motivated vigilantism. Criminal trial, 1987. A Manhattan jury acquitted Gotez of the most serious charges, including attempted murder and assault. He was convicted only of a criminal possession of a weapon for the unlicensed gun and served 8 months of a 1-year sentence. Civil trial, 1996. Daryl Cabby sued Gotez in a Bronx civil court. The jury found Gotez liable for reckless and deliberate infliction of emotional distress, awarding Cabby $43 million. Gotez filed for bankruptcy shortly after and has reportedly never paid any significant portion of the judgment. And now it is time for our main event, our final deadliest New York crime. This crime actually is what created this episode. My love of a cop got me killed. It is the story of police officer Fred Maselli and his underage girlfriend Shirley Fontanez. The case of Fred Maselli and Shirley Fontanez was a high-profile murder-suicide involving a New York Police Department officer and his teenage girlfriend that exposed allegations of corruption and systematic failure within the police department. The murder-suicide, July 2007. On July 23rd, 2007, 40-year-old Maselli, a 7-year veteran of the 34th Precinct, shot 19-year-old Fontanez 5 times in his Bronx apartment before turning the gun on himself. Discovery. Their bodies were found on a Monday afternoon after Maselli failed to show up for work. Abuse allegations. Fontes' family and friends claim she had been a victim of long-term physical abuse, including being handcuffed and threatened with a weapon. They allege that despite multiple complaints, other officers at his precinct covered up the relationship, which had begun when Fontanez was just 16 years old. In addition to the murder, the case revealed a suspected illegal financial scheme. Check cashing scam. Investigators suspected Maselli supplied stolen checks to Fontanez, who had cashed them at her workplace, a travel and check cashing store in New Jersey. Theft indictment. Before her death, Fontanez had been indicted on charges of stealing between $40,000 and $70,000 from her employer. Motive. Friends of Fontanez claim she intended to tell on him regarding the scam because he refused to return items purchased with the stolen funds, leading to the fatal confrontation. Legal fallout and settlement. The case led to significant legal scrutiny of the New York Police Department's responsibility for the actions of off-duty officers. Negligence suit. Fontes' family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of New York, alleging that the city was negligent in hiring, training, and supervising Maselli, especially given his known violent propensities. Groundbreaking ruling. In 2015, a state appeals court ruled that the city could be held liable even though Maselli was off duty if the violence was found to be foreseeable and he was negligently supervised. $1 million settlement. In 2016, the New York Daily News reported that the city agreed to pay a $1 million settlement to Fontes' orphan daughter. And that is the case of Fred Maselli and Shirley Fontanez, a deadly police officer murder-suicide. All right, and that is part one of Deadliest New York Crimes. I certainly hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Case. On our next episode, it is part two of Deadly New York Crimes. And on our next episode, part two, Deadliest New York Crimes, learn about the son of Sam, David Berkowitz, learn about the Gilligo Beach killings, which is a decade-long investigation into the remains of at least 10 victims found on a Long Island highway. You'll also learn about the torso killer Richard Cunningham one more time. We'll learn about Albert Anastasia, who was the founder of Murder, Inc. We'll learn about Crazy Joe Gallo, the murder of Malcolm X, and much, much more. All that coming up on part 2 of Deadliest New York Crimes. I want to thank everyone for watching this episode. It is the highest viewed live episode of On the Case. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And did you enjoy this episode? Amazing. Want more crime? Head on over to www.youtube.com/at Alex Cardinale 2026 and go to the On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale playlist to catch all of our previous episodes. Stay safe, everyone. Remember, if you see something, say something. Never be afraid to dial 911. I'll see you for part 2 of Deadliest New York Crimes on our next episode of On the Case. I, Alex Cardinale, would like to say thank you for watching this live stream on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. I personally hope you enjoyed the live stream and the video. If you did enjoy the live stream, please smash that like button and please share this video on social media so that your friends and family can enjoy it as well. If you are a first-time viewer or new to my YouTube channel, I highly recommend hitting that subscribe button and ding the notification bell for notifications when I go live next or when I upload a video. I highly recommend subscribing so you're a member of the ACE community. Thank you for watching ACE.